can and we do to step up action collectively in all parts of society and bring everyone on board to take action to keep the 1.5 degrees centigrade target within reach. And the time to act is now, and we should do it together.
I still think that there is a possibility to go even further in a way that will both help combating climate change, creating new economic possibilities for Indonesia, but actually also ensuring a lower cost of energy in Indonesia.
We need to ensure that 30% of global land and sea areas are put under protection.
Polish regions are ready to share with Indonesian regions our experience in transforming entire socio-economic structure from fossil fuels orientation towards new technologies.
Not only mitigate climate change at the global level, but they also mapping a bright future for our nation.
Japan committed to reduce GHG emissions to net zero by 2050 to realize a carbon-neutral, decarbonized society.
We are delighted to be working closely with Indonesia in the forestry sector.
This is the decade we must act to keep global temperature increases within reach of the Paris climate target of less than 1.5 degrees Celsius.
We are deeply in danger if we cannot reduce our greenhouse gas emission in the next decade and avoid temperature increase above 1.5 centigrade degrees.
You can be creative, you can put it together in any way you want. We have seen on other occasions that the youth in particular here is very creative, so we look very much forward to this.
So to expedite the transition toward a circular economy, the Ministry of National Development Planning, or BPNS, in cooperation with the UNDP and supported by the Kingdom of Denmark, have launched a partnership to develop a circular economy roadmap for Indonesia.
In the past 5 years working with men and men only, and we found that the last 2 years we've been working with women, and it's much more effective in making bamboo seedlings.
For Indonesia, we have ratified the Paris Agreement with the commitment of decreasing greenhouse gas emissions by 29% and 41% with international aid by 2030.
Kita berharap beberapa pihak yang ada di masyarakat sipil maupun di kelompok penelitian dan kelompok masyarakat yang lain bisa secara langsung mengkoneksikan diri dengan teman-teman yang ada di DPR untuk menyampaikan hal yang terkait dengan energi terbarukan karena ini sangat dekat dengan kehidupan sehari-hari.
Without clean and green electricity, all the emission reduction target for the transportation sector, for the heat sector cannot be met.
Kebijakan yang dikeluarkan pemerintah saat ini, hari ini itu akan memberikan dampak kepada masa depan kami dalam 10 ataupun 20 tahun yang akan datang. Gitu.
We should not only see the waste management sector, we have to come out of our post-consumer waste management action.
Indonesia has been actively pursuing SCP through policy and implementation, including the strengthening and expansion of its green, sustainable public procurement, or GSPP, capacities.
We need to look more into recycling, but mainly we also need to look into how do we reduce waste and how do we repair the things instead of just buying new things.
That concrete and bold decisions need to be made to save our future, our children's future, and the future of our planet. By protecting the climate, we not only stop global warming, but we also protect biodiversity and provide livelihoods for local communities.
If we could understand the impact we as people had on the environment, then we could improve that relationship. But we had to understand it in order to improve it.
Many parties has begun to realize the importance of applying the concept of Basel Reserve as a means for sustainable development in their area.
German Development Corporation, which is implemented by GIZ in 2 projects. We are trying to help to achieve such sustainable economic development.
Our opinions and perspectives span a wide breadth of knowledge and
understanding of the social ecological complexity in which we are living.
Fighting climate change does not work if we do not protect our seas and oceans and make full use of their potential to store carbon. Doing so requires a global effort, and the EU is taking the lead.
Yang bisa kita lakukan pertama adalah menghentikan degradasi dan melakukan restorasi lebih banyak.
Sampai saat ini, Satria Mangrove atau konservasi mangrove di Balikpapan telah berhasil menanam 1.633 mangrove di 40 hektar lahan das manggar dan terus bertambah.
Indonesia will be at the forefront of global climate action over the coming years.
We must reduce as much as possible CO2 emissions produced by fossil fuels and other greenhouse gases, including methane.
And realize that we have to work hand in hand in order to make a bigger impact for our planet.
I want the politicians to know that the youth is the key to create change.
I want the politicians to include meaningful youth participation in decision-making concerning climate crisis.
I want the politicians to take serious action in climate crisis.
Oxfam work together to make sure that country and companies are responsible for the global output so that we can make the most significant contribution.
The Green Livelihood Alliance mission regarding to climate inclusion is to ensure that tropical forests and forest landscapes in Indonesia are sustainably and inclusively governed to mitigate and adapt to climate change, fulfill human rights, and safeguard of local livelihoods.
Semua pihak, baik kementerian terkait maupun subnasional, baik di tingkat provinsi, kabupaten, kota, harus secara bersama-sama melakukan aktivitas di bidang perubahan iklim.
We do the campaign about the electricity efficiency.
Akan kita upayakan pengurangan transportasi massal yang harus kita kuatkan sehingga tidak banyak polusi.
Pemerintah daerah adalah pejuang iklim dan itu kita sudah lihat dari aksi nyata yang ada di daerah.
As one of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters, transitioning toward a sustainable development can be a huge opportunity for Indonesia to accelerate the economic recovery and achieve also a sustained economic growth.
Green recovery dapat mencegah pemanasan global sebesar 0,3 derajat Celcius pada tahun 2050 dan menciptakan lebih banyak lapangan pekerjaan dan pertumbuhan ekonomi.
Kita juga melihat bahwa building infrastructure untuk collection, untuk waste collection itu sangat penting sehingga kita bisa divert plastic waste ya spesifik. Itu kurang lebih sekitar so far itu 5.000 ton per tahun tidak entering landfill, tidak entering river.
Pengurangan GHG emission di dalam fasilitas dan juga supply chain dari supermarket atau food retailer itu menjadi penting dan kemudian bisa mempunyai dampak yang cukup signifikan bahkan meaningful untuk mengurangi total global emissions.
In our work, we refer to as measures to all voluntary and mandatory recommendations, guidelines, and regulations for environmental disclosure across jurisdictions.
Indonesia doesn't need to start from the scratch. There has been a so-called sustainable finance framework by the Financial Authority, our OJK, already in place.
Disclosure might also serve as a push for entities to become a better citizen in the market.
I hope that Polish and European cooperation with Indonesia in low carbon transportation will be growing in the near future.
These are benefits in reducing the pollutions that lead to the mitigation of climate change and better health outcome.
All of these hold the key to a sustainable future for all of us, and protecting the ecosystems will also help protect us from the danger of future pandemics.
Young people are more
caring and more concerned about climate crisis and the future, because they're the ones who will be living this future.
This is the last activity we have in the EU Climate Diplomacy Week Indonesia 2021. We've had 5 days of dialogue and discussion and debate. Today, the last day, we have action and we are planting mangroves. Mangroves play a vital role for stopping climate change because they are a very important carbon sink, a storage for carbon. So we make here a small symbolic contribution to promote the planting of mangrove throughout Indonesia.